other relationship in our lives that will mimic the deep emotional connection that we'll have in adulthood is going to be our parents. If there's unresolved wounds from childhood from our parents, it's going to show up when we start dating.
Hello, everyone. I'm Wayne Fraser, the founder of R2 Souls, the world's first online platform for those preparing for matching and maintaining long-term relationships. I welcome Janel Ball back for another insightful chat. Janel is the owner and therapist for Healing Solutions Professional Counseling Services. She's a registered clinical counselor, and she's based in Vancouver. She's been helping people for 25 years. Janel, thanks so much for joining me again today. I'm looking forward to our continuing relationship chats. Our topic is what to look for in the character of a long-term partner. Now, as a recap, previously we chatted about the core 3 skills that are important for long-term relationships. That was empathy and reliability and listening. Now we're going to go a little bit deeper into a person's character, exploring what aspects are important and how to see that in prospective partners. But first, let's talk about the image of people that we build in the first few months. Can you kind of lay a bit of a foundation for us?
Yeah, so what I like to tell my clients is that it seems like when we're first meeting somebody new, we like to paint a picture in our minds of who we think they are based on a few snippets of information that we have about them. And, if that picture looks like something attractive to us, then we'll probably want to continue to date them. But truly, I think it takes probably at least 9 months, maybe a year to actually get to have an idea of really what this person is about. If they're a complete stranger off maybe a dating site, or if they're just like a casual acquaintance through friends that you've known, you probably don't actually know that much about them. So as time goes by and you find out more information about them, you have to adjust the picture. A lot of people create this picture in their mind as they start painting this picture. And they're like, oh yeah, this person's like this, and this person has this trait, so this means that they must be like this. And, can I picture my life with them and all of this kind of thing. But then as more time goes by, well, really, it's important to realize that that first picture you have in your mind really probably is not that person.
Right.
Like based on 4 or 5 snippets of information you have about them, like how can you have a real,
How can
complete
you
picture
actually
of them?
know them after, just an introduction or a coffee or with dinner, or even several dinners, I would imagine,
Yeah,
right?
even a few dates, like you start to create this picture, but truly that's not that person. There's going to be so much more about them that you don't know yet. And
Right.
so as time goes by, you have to adjust the picture. And so then, watching for these qualities that we're going to talk about today can help with adjusting the picture. But a lot of times people will say, oh, well, I wish they'd go back to, that person they were at the beginning when I first met them. And that wasn't a real
They
person. This
they
was like a
weren't even that
fantasy.
person. That was
No,
the
that was
person
like a
that,
fantasy in your
yeah.
mind. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And so what do people try and do then? They try and fit the new pieces of information into the persona that they've created. Is that what they tend to do? Or
Well, I think what they tend to do, some people will try to change the partner or the person they're dating to fit who they think they are, who they want
right,
them to be. You hear about people trying to change their partner all the time.
right.
Or they just will dismiss, oh, it's not important. I'm not going to worry about that too much, or I'm going to ignore red flags and things like that. And so then that's when people get themselves into trouble.
Yeah, that makes sense. So one of the first things that we had briefly touched on was morals and values. And I'm wondering, in what ways do these normally hidden things show up in our partners?
I think you just have to see, how do they interact with the people around them? Like sometimes you'll hear people say, look at how a person treats wait staff at a restaurant, this kind of thing. Or if you're driving down the street and there's we're in Vancouver, if you see a few homeless people around, what do they say about that? How do they think about these kinds of topics? And are you on the same page about this? It can also be like, how do they talk about, their worldview about stuff going on in the rest of the world? Or, how do they talk about topics that are important to you? Like, if you're interested in helping animal rescues, is this something that they also care about? Or like family, children, money, all that kind of stuff. You really want to see how is this person talking about these sorts of topics? And also if you meet people in their life, watch how the people in their life are also talking about these topics.
Right. Their friends or their family. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, pay attention to the people around them.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Now, when we talk about morals and values, This is more looking for a match between
Mhm.
your morals and values and their morals
Mhm.
and values. Is that correct? Or
Mhm.
are
Yeah.
we, is there
Yeah.
some sort of litmus test that you're suggesting?
Think that, if you value honesty and integrity and monogamy,
Hmm.
you want to look for somebody who also values these things.
Yeah,
Like if you believe in monogamy and you really fall for somebody on a first date who's polyamorous, you
right,
probably aren't going to be a match, no
right.
matter how much you want to try to force that person to be monogamous.
Yeah, no,
For
that's a
instance,
fair comment. What are
yeah,
what are some examples of some things that normally don't get discovered until a little later on?
I mean, I think that can really just vary from person to person. Different people are sharing so many different kinds of aspects of themselves. Like even in a first date, a person might share that they're really into conspiracy theories and that they've been trying to like get their family to watch these, speakers on these websites or something.
Right,
And so if you just ask like a variety of questions to people, like be interested in them and ask them questions so you can find out the types of things that they're talking about and that they're interested in or that they're willing to share with you and see what kinds of questions they ask you.
right,
Like, are they a curious person? Do they actually want to get to know you? Some people
right.
get married and they don't know each other at all.
I think there's a lot of material out there as to, how to discover those. But I think the big thing about this is probably more so than a lot of things is this takes a little while in order to understand what
Yeah.
is driving somebody, what are their morals, values.
Yeah. Like, what is the lifestyle they're leading and what
Mhm.
fuels that?
Well, I love the fact that you mentioned there's these other cues that you can pick up on, like what are the viewpoints of their friends and their family? How do they treat their family? How do they treat other people? You mentioned wait staff, that sort of thing. Then go back and adjust who you think they are.
It seems to me like a lot of women, I don't know if it's younger women, older women, it seems like a lot of women really want to focus on like the type of car a guy drives or what kind of watch they wear. I've had male clients tell me that they won't wear their fancy watch on a date because they
Yeah,
can tell like the woman is like checking out the watch that they're wearing to see like how fancy it is or what kind of shoes they're wearing or what kind of car they're driving.
right,
And so I've had some very wealthy clients who are like, I don't show off any of that stuff on dates because I want to find somebody who wants to date me for me, not
right,
because I have a certain kind of watch or car. And so I was like, my suggestion here is to note that those kinds of material objects have nothing to do with how well this person's going to be able to show up in a relationship.
right. Now, there's very few cues that we have that will tell us early on about who they are. And I think what we tend to do is focus on whatever those things are, whether the job that they're doing, the watches or the
The car
suits
they drive.
or the
Mhm.
car they drive or things like that. And what we're actually should be looking for is some of the softer things about how they treat other people, how they talk about the world, how they talk about other things going on in the world.
Mhm.
These are the better indications of whether or not this person is going to show up in a long-term relationship properly.
Yeah, like if they're compatible with you. There's also some people who have a lot of money
Yeah,
are going to be smart with their money and not buy a new BMW or a new Porsche or a new Mercedes. Like a lot of people that I know that have a lot of money, they're like, I'm buying a used car. Like I'm not going to waste my money on a thing that devalues so quickly as soon as I drive it off the lot.
yeah,
And so to base somebody's relationship ability on the type of car they drive is ridiculous.
yeah. That makes a ton of
But yeah,
sense.
you want to see how they're showing up and how they treat you. Like, are they actually interested in you? Are they asking questions about you? Do they want to get to know you? What kinds of questions are they asking?
Right,
So many people try to start relationships based on like nothing to do with a person's actual ability to be in a relationship or their own ability to actually be able to be in a relationship. Everything is it's so superficial, so surface level. It's like, what can I get from this person?
right.
And I mean, you're just bound to fail. No wonder
Yeah.
maybe no wonder the divorce rate is so high.
Because maybe people are trying to fit them into something that they think exists, and they're using it based on cues that aren't necessarily indicators of long-term success.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
So another thing that we talked about was integrity and authenticity, and you touched on that a little bit just a moment ago. It's how they show up in the world. Now, what could we tell about the person that we're seeing? What is the real person? How do we determine that based on how they're showing up in the world, the integrity and the authenticity that they portray?
There has to be like a pattern that you watch for. Like,
Mhm.
what's this person doing, like, sort of regularly over time?
Right.
And so, like in the first couple of dates, somebody might want to be showing up as this wonderful, amazing person who's very charismatic or really cares about the homeless and about the SPCA. And as time goes by, you might find out, like, well, this person actually doesn't give a crap about any of
Doesn't
these
care.
things.
It was part
They
of the
just,
show. And
yeah,
because
they
we've
thought,
created this persona early on, that's what we
mm-hmm.
believe.
Yeah, yeah. And so when a person starts to show you who they really are, it differs from this original picture that you got because people are, when they show up on dates, they really might not be showing their true self to you. You have to adjust the picture. Like, I thought this person really, cared about these social problems or used to really be involved in these certain programs or really be involved in their children's school or whatever it might be. And then
Yeah.
you find out, you're like, oh, they might have just not been quite showing me their true self. Like, people tend to lie a little bit at the beginning. Not everybody, but not everybody's really comfortable with who they are and comfortable in their own skin and
Right.
feeling really confident in themselves to really show up as their authentic self. So it doesn't mean they're a bad person, but it just means that you like really have to watch and see, like, is this really who this person is?
Right. Reason why you say that it takes a few months, maybe 9 months or a year, I guess, before you
Mm-hmm.
truly understand who this person is.
Mm-hmm. Or even start to have an idea really of who this person is.
Yeah.
Because, like, after a while, like, if they're presenting somebody who's really maybe not truly who they are at the beginning, after a while, a few months, or they've been a little bit sick, or they've been a little bit stressed, like, who they really are is going to start coming through more, and you'll get a chance to actually see that. And it doesn't mean that it's completely different than who you thought they were at the beginning, but you really have to be willing to adjust it. Because for some people, it will be completely different than who you thought they were at the
Yeah,
beginning.
no, that makes sense. Especially when people are under stress. And I guess that's something else that some people have noticed is that if you're traveling with somebody, for example, or you're in a awkward situation, say at a restaurant or in a at a movie theater, or somebody's lost
Or
tickets, their
suck it big.
phone. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
That
you'll see another side of this person come out that you're like, oh, I didn't really know that person had that
yeah,
in them. Or do they handle it really well? Like some people are actually really emotionally mature and they've got their shit together and they've done some work on themselves. Or some people actually come from stable childhoods with parents who had
yeah,
their, emotional maturity and were well developed, well rounded people. And
yeah.
so there are people out there who actually would be able to, handle those kinds of situations. And that's awesome. But then there's going to be some people who maybe don't handle those kinds of things so well.
Right.
And then you're going to have to decide for yourself if this person is truly who you want them to be or who you want to be with. Because you don't want to then try to like change them.
Because yeah, you won't likely change them. All you can do is just observe them.
Yeah, and you're going to end up fighting a lot and, butting heads a lot. And that's not going to lead to fulfillment.
No, exactly. Now, you mentioned emotional maturity, and that's the third point that I wanted to talk about here is how do they manage their emotions and take responsibility? You've mentioned is really important in understanding who that person is in a long-term relationship.
Yeah, one thing I talk to people about quite a bit is that when we're children, there's certain things that we need usually from our primary caregivers, like our parents normally, or whoever ends up taking care of us. If for some reason parents were sick or if you're adopted or your grandparents are around a lot, like who are the people that are around and what do they give you? Because there's certain things that we need at certain stages of life so that we can grow through the ages and stages of life so that we can, move through childhood, through adolescence, into early adulthood, into being an adult. And if we have certain needs that aren't really met along the way, parts of us, or if some traumatic things happen along the way, parts of us can get stuck.
Right.
And so I'll suggest, like, I think we want to watch and see, like, are there things in this person that are coming out that are kind of childlike
Hmm.
or like a little bit immature? Like, there's a part of them that never really fully grew through a certain stage of life. And, not that doesn't mean they're not going to be able to be a good partner, but it's just stuff to watch out for. And then you might want to find out, like, what was this person's childhood like? Like, what were the things that went on? What are their relationships like with their parents, with their siblings, with their grandparents? Like, what is going on there? And also look for, like, has somebody done some work on themselves? It's very common now that people are going into therapy, not like it was years ago where it was kind of this taboo thing.
Right. Yeah.
It's so common. It's rare to meet the average person now, at least in Vancouver, who doesn't already have a therapist, to be
Yeah.
honest. And so, finding somebody who is like willing to do the work and work on themselves, and if there have been some childhood wounds, like, are they willing to work on it? Because Emotional maturity and acting like a fully functioning adult is
Mhm.
really important when you go into relationships. And when we're first in new relationships in adulthood, these are the things that are actually going to really trigger the childhood wounds.
Right.
And so there's like the only other relationship in our lives that will mimic the deep emotional connection that we'll have in adulthood is going to be our parents.
Right.
And so like if there's unresolved wounds from childhood from our parents, it's going to show up when we start dating. And
Wow.
so you really kind of want to watch for some of these things like in yourself and your partner. It can be a little bit involved depending on what a person's life experiences are. And if they've done any therapy, if they've been willing to work on themselves. I will just mention there are a couple big names in the relationship world these
Mhm.
days. They've been saying a lot lately, like, oh, you don't have to have done a lot of therapy on yourself before you're going to be ready to be in a relationship. Because once you get in a relationship, that's going to trigger up the wounds. And then you want to be in a relationship and that can help you heal these wounds. Well, I have a little bit of a different philosophy because I'm a trauma therapist and, there's some stuff that happens for people in childhood that finding the right therapist to work through a lot of that and do some deep healing is actually going to set people up to be a lot more successful in their relationships
Yeah.
as they, get into adulthood because some wounds that were created, it's going to be really hard for that person to be able to find a stable relationship with somebody who will help them heal through
Right.
it.
And the
Right?
poor
Because
person that now becomes their partner and therapist.
yeah, it gets complicated. I'm a trauma therapist for 25 years now,
Yeah.
and people can do really amazing work in therapy that like stabilizes a lot and heals some of the really early childhood wounds. So a person can actually feel a lot better, A, about themselves, but then also have some tools to manage their emotions and whatnot so that they can handle getting into a new relationship because dating inevitably is stressful and it's going to trigger unresolved wounds for sure.
That makes a lot of sense. I really appreciate that. That's some great insights. I appreciate all the information you bring to us, and hopefully this helps those people that are listening. We're going to keep on talking about relationships and some of the things that you mentioned here and some new topics as well. Our next topic is going to be how to talk to new partners about past relationships, successes and their challenges, and we'll help you identify what to look for and how to gently address the common responses. So that's the next topic that Janelle and I will talk about. Stay tuned for that. In the meantime, check out the Relationship Readiness Quiz at r2souls.com. You'll find some great insights and learn more about preparing for long-term relationships. It's also a great tool for your current prospective partners to do and share with you. So whether it be that online with R2 Souls or talking directly to Janelle, and on the website you'll find how to reach her. But Janelle, we're looking forward to continuing these conversations. Thank you so much for sharing today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really enjoying having these conversations with you as well. This has been great.